Whenever we hear prophecies about the end of the world, images of chaos, disaster, and collapse often come to mind. But hidden within many of these predictions is a lesser-known truth. Not all places will fall. Some countries are believed to stand strong, protected, and even thrive, while the rest of the world faces great turmoil. Despite growing fears around climate change, wars, and global instability, certain nations continue to appear in ancient texts, visions, and modern revelations as safe zones like spiritual shelters in the middle of a storm. So, which countries are these? And why are they considered safe during the coming Great Shift? The answers may not lie in military strength or wealth, but in energy, consciousness, and divine protection. Let's uncover the nations believed to remain standing in 2025 and beyond, not just in a physical sense, but as guiding lights for the future of humanity. Signs of unraveling in 2025. From ancient scrolls to whispered visions, many prophets have pointed to a time when the systems of our world would begin to crack. And for those who have studied the patterns, 2025 appears as one of those turning points a year when the veil begins to thin and the illusion of stability starts to break down. Nostradamus, the 16th century French seer, once wrote in a cryptic quatrain, "The great empire will be overturned. Near the sea, into the dust shall fall its legacy." Some interpreters believe this hints at the fall of global superpowers, disrupted economies, or even a major political collapse in the Western world. Meanwhile, Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, warned that the earth will break in many places, and that changes in the earth's surface will come not only from the natural, but also from man's own doing. His visions point toward increasing natural disasters, unusual weather patterns, and rising tensions linked to spiritual imbalance, all things we've already begun to witness. Baba Vanga, the blind mystic from Bulgaria, reportedly foresaw a time of cosmic silence, when millions of people would disappear not necessarily in a physical sense, but in a spiritual or energetic shift. Some believe 2025 marks the peak of this change, where the difference between those who wake up and those who remain asleep will become more visible than ever. Adding to this, indigenous prophecies, especially from Native American and Andean traditions, speak of the world moving into a new era, one that requires deep reconnection with the earth. They warn that when humans forget their bond with nature, the earth will respond, not out of punishment, but as a way of restoring balance. And indeed, as we look around today, we see the early signs. Climate extremes that defy prediction, unrest in nearly every region of the globe, financial systems shaking under pressure, and a growing sense that what once felt solid now feels uncertain. These are not random events. They are the signs of unraveling warnings echoed through generations that the old world is ending and something new is on the horizon. Nations that will remain safe. As the world teeters on the edge of transformation with rising political unrest, natural disasters, and growing spiritual unease, a question quietly rises in many minds. Will any place be safe? According to many ancient prophecies, the answer is yes. From Nostradamus's cryptic hints about lands of peace beyond the chaos, to Edgar Cayce's visions of high places where people would gather to begin again, a consistent thread emerges. A small number of countries will act as sanctuaries spiritually, environmentally, and geopolitically, protected from the global unraveling. Let's take a closer look at these nations. The first country often named is Iceland. Isolated by the cold waters of the North Atlantic and powered almost entirely by clean geothermal energy, Iceland has long been seen as a land in harmony with nature. Its population is small, its society stable, and its environment pristine. But beyond these facts lies something deeper, a kind of energetic insulation. Some believe the island's isolation acts like a spiritual barrier, keeping out the frequencies of fear and chaos that will sweep other nations. In prophetic interpretations, Iceland is viewed as a silent rock in the middle of a roaring sea, untouched, observing, surviving. Next is New Zealand, often called the edge of the old world. Its distance from major population centers, its mountainous landscape, and its strong local food systems make it an ideal place to weather physical disruptions. But beyond its practical advantages, New Zealand has also been mentioned by visionaries as a land of rebirth. Edgar Cayce spoke of safe zones that would be lifted up and guided by those who held the light. In recent years, even some world elites have quietly prepared bunkers here, perhaps guided by intuition, prophecy, or both. Another remarkable country on this list is Bhutan. Tucked deep in the Himalayan mountains, Bhutan is not only hard to reach physically, it is equally protected in spirit. Governed by a philosophy of gross national happiness and deeply rooted in Tibetan Buddhism, Bhutan is often viewed by spiritual leaders as a high-vibration nation. In global prophecies, the Himalayas are repeatedly described as a sacred region, a refuge when the world loses balance. Some believe Bhutan's collective commitment to harmony is its greatest shield. Then there is Canada, vast, resilient, and quietly powerful. With its abundant natural resources, low population density, and historically peaceful stance, Canada is often considered a land of refuge in global survival scenarios. Some interpretations of Nostradamus's writings suggest that the new land above the great waters will serve as a gathering place in times of crisis. Its geographic distance from most global conflict zones, paired with its stable governance, places Canada high on the list of potential safe havens. In South America, Uruguay emerges as an unexpected beacon of safety. Though small in size, Uruguay has proven itself to be one of the most socially stable and progressive countries in the region. It has a strong democratic system, low crime, and high levels of renewable energy use. For many spiritual thinkers, Uruguay's humility and balance make it less likely to be targeted by the waves of destruction foreseen in global visions. It stays quiet, and sometimes, that is exactly what keeps you safe. Finally, we turn to the northern lights of Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, and Finland. These countries, often referred to as lands of light, are known for their strong social systems, deep respect for nature, and cultural stability. In various indigenous prophecies and even some Christian mystic writings, the far north is portrayed as a sleeping sanctuary, a region that may remain relatively untouched while the rest of the world shifts. Some believe that the inner peace and collective mindfulness found in Scandinavian societies contribute to a form of karmic protection. Each of these nations, from icy cliffs to mountain valleys, represents more than just physical safety. They symbolize a different rhythm, a deeper alignment with earth, spirit, and community. And in a world bracing for impact, that kind of alignment may prove to be the most powerful shield of all. Prophecies of transformation. While much of the world may focus on the chaos wars, natural disasters, collapsing systems, the prophets saw something else hidden within the darkness: transformation. Throughout history, seers like Nostradamus, Baba Vanga, Edgar Cayce, and countless indigenous elders didn't just speak of destruction. They also spoke of renewal, of a time when humanity would be forced to evolve, shedding what no longer serves and stepping into something entirely new. Nostradamus described a future where the great empire will fall, but also hinted at a new city that would rise from the ashes, a place governed by peace, not conquest. Many believe these aren't just physical locations, but symbols of a new human consciousness. Baba Vanga spoke more directly. She said there would come a time when humanity would become spiritual again, after facing a period of deep suffering and confusion. She mentioned the arrival of a higher level of awareness, one not built on technology or money, but on unity and compassion. Edgar Cayce gave even more detail. In his trance sessions, he described a coming period where the earth would be broken to heal. He said this healing would not be easy. It would come through earthquakes, floods, and fire, but that afterward, those who remained would live in harmony with the Creator. And it wasn't just Western prophets. In Native American traditions, especially the Hopi, there are stories of the Great Purification, a time when the earth would shake itself free of imbalance. But they also speak of the fifth world, a new age, born after the destruction, where humans finally remember their sacred role as caretakers of the earth. Across Asia, some Buddhist prophecies mirror these visions. They speak of a dark age of materialism where people forget their inner light, followed by a rebirth of truth and clarity. In some versions, Maitreya, the future Buddha, is said to arrive during this age to guide humanity back toward wisdom. So while 2025 and the years that follow may seem filled with danger and uncertainty, the message from nearly every ancient source is the same. This is not the end, it is the crossing. A painful shedding of an old skin, greed, ego, disconnection so that something new can emerge. A rebirth not just of societies, but of souls. And in this transformation, not everyone will be lost, and not everything will be destroyed. Some will find safety, others will find purpose, but all will be called to choose. Will we cling to what was, or will we step into what could be? Self-awareness. According Edgar Cayce, the key point is looking at your inner. Self-awareness is another key concept in spiritual psychology, reflecting the recognition that understanding our inner and outer world is essential to achieving greater well-being and fulfillment in life. As we discuss the stages, it's important to define spiritual awakening as the internal journey one undertakes to connect with their true self, transcend the ego, and connect with a universal, divine consciousness. Spiritual psychology encourages individuals to cultivate self-awareness by exploring their emotions, thoughts, and behaviors in order to gain greater insight into themselves and their experiences. In the stage of self-awareness, individuals begin to see how their actions in the physical world reflect their inner beliefs and emotions. As we delve into the concept of how to reach spiritual enlightenment, it is vital to understand that this journey calls for consistent inner work and self-awareness practices. The process of higher self-awareness involves developing a greater sense of mindfulness, or the ability to be present and fully engaged in the present moment. Ascension symptoms can manifest during these stages, often taking the form of emotional, physical, or psychological changes that signify your spiritual growth. This can involve practices such as deep breathing or other mindful exercises, which help individuals to develop greater awareness of their thoughts and emotions, as well as to develop a sense of detachment from them. By cultivating self-awareness, individuals can gain greater insight into their patterns of behavior and thought. This can help them to identify negative patterns that may be holding them back, such as limiting beliefs or negative self-talk. In addition, self-awareness can help individuals to identify their strengths and values and to cultivate a greater sense of purpose and direction in life. Inner wisdom. Last but not least, inner wisdom is a core concept in spiritual psychology, reflecting the belief that individuals have innate wisdom and intuition that can guide them toward their highest potential. Spiritual psychology recognizes that this inner wisdom is often overshadowed by external influences, such as societal norms, cultural expectations, or past experiences, and that accessing this inner wisdom requires cultivating a deeper connection to oneself. In addition, spiritual psychology recognizes that inner wisdom is often expressed through the body, emotions, and intuition, rather than solely through logical thought processes. Therefore, practitioners in this field may work with individuals to develop greater trust in their instincts and emotions, and to learn to listen to the wisdom of their bodies. By cultivating a greater connection to their inner wisdom, individuals can gain greater clarity, direction, and purpose in life. Inner wisdom can guide individuals toward their true passions and interests, and help them to make decisions that align with their values and goals. Key signs of spiritual awakening. And if you have these signs, might be you are experiencing a spiritual awakening. One of the first signs of spiritual awakening is heightened intuition. Intuition is often described as an inner knowing, a subtle voice or feeling that guides us without conscious reasoning. Imagine moments when you suddenly just know the right path to take, or when you understand something without needing to analyze it. These instances become more frequent and pronounced. You might make decisions based on a feeling or a hunch, which often are remarkably accurate and beneficial. This heightened intuition keeps you in tune with your inner voice, which speaks from your true self, free from overthinking and external influences. The noise of everyday life dims, allowing you to hear the wisdom inside you all along. As you experience this shift, your intuition becomes a source of creativity and inspiration. You may discover new solutions to problems or feel inspired to take paths you hadn't considered before. Trusting this inner guidance can be empowering, leading to a deeper understanding of yourself and your purpose. Increased empathy and compassion is the second sign. You may gain a deeper empathy and compassion as you journey through a spiritual awakening. Suddenly, the boundaries between your emotions and those of others might seem blurred, allowing you to feel what they feel with a heightened sense of understanding and sensitivity. You might genuinely experience the ebbs and flows of emotions that others are going through. This increased empathy can extend to all living beings, people, animals, and the environment. You become more at one with the subtle expressions of nature and the silent voices of animals, sensing their unspoken stories and needs. Alongside empathy, your compassion also grows. This might manifest in small acts of kindness, like offering a listening ear to a friend or helping a stranger in need. Or it could inspire more significant changes in your life, such as volunteering for causes you care about or making lifestyle choices that are more considerate of the planet and its population. This increase in empathy and compassion is a sign of your heart opening and your consciousness expanding. You start to see the interconnectedness of all life, recognizing that the well-being of others directly impacts your own. As enriching as this heightened empathy and compassion can be, looking after yourself is important. Being deeply attuned to the emotions of others can feel overwhelming at times. Setting healthy emotional boundaries helps you maintain your emotional well-being. The next sign that you need to focus on is desire for meaningful connections. A key aspect of experiencing a spiritual awakening is the desire for deeper, more meaningful connections in your life. This shift often begins as a growing dissatisfaction with superficial interactions and a hunger for relationships that offer genuine depth and authenticity. You may find yourself longing for conversations beyond the mundane, seeking to connect on a level that nourishes your soul and aligns with your newfound understanding of the world. As you embark on this journey, the nature of your relationships may begin to change. You might gravitate towards people who share your values and perspectives or challenge you to grow and think in new ways. You might seek out those who understand and respect your journey in your friendships, offering support and wisdom. In romantic relationships, you may desire a partner who supports and participates in your spiritual growth. Even in professional settings, you might find yourself drawn to work that feels more aligned with your values and allows for authentic expression. This shift can also mean letting go of relationships that no longer serve your growth. Recognizing that some connections might hinder your journey is an essential part of this process. It's about finding balance and ensuring that your social circle reflects and supports your spiritual path. Changing priorities is also a special sign. During a spiritual awakening, one of the most noticeable changes is your priorities and values. You might find yourself reassessing what truly matters to you, leading to a significant shift in how you view and interact with the world. You'll begin to value personal growth, meaningful relationships, and enriching experiences over material possessions. This realization can be liberating, freeing you from pursuing material gains and allowing you to focus on what genuinely enriches your life. As personal growth climbs higher on your list of priorities, you might invest more time and energy in activities that nurture your mind, body, and spirit. This could include meditation, yoga, reading, or creative hobbies. The joy in these activities often comes from the inner peace and self-discovery they bring. Relationships also take on a new significance. You value deeper connections with others that are based on mutual respect, understanding, and support. These relationships provide a sense of belonging and offer a space for mutual growth and sharing life experiences. Experiences themselves become more valuable than possessions. Travel, learning new skills, or spending quality time with loved ones might become more important. These experiences enrich your life in ways that material items cannot, providing lasting memories and a sense of fulfillment deeply rooted in living a meaningful life. Let's continue with feeling a sense of unity. A symptom often experienced during a spiritual awakening is a deep-seated feeling of unity or oneness. It connects to a larger, universal energy, being in harmony with all forms of life. You might experience moments where you feel deeply in tune with nature, sensing a sacred kinship with the trees, the sky, the ocean, and every living creature. In your interactions with people, you may recognize that everyone, regardless of their background or life story, shares the same fundamental desires for love, security, and happiness. This realization can foster empathy and compassion as you begin to see reflections of yourself in others. Judgments and barriers fade, replaced by an understanding of the universal human experience. You might also become more aware of how your actions impact the world. This awareness can lead to more mindful, conscious living, where your choices are guided by a desire to contribute positively to the collective well-being. Last but not least, it's experiencing moments of bliss. A spiritual awakening often brings with it unexpected moments of bliss and joy. These experiences can feel like bursts of pure happiness from deep within and often occur without any apparent external cause. These moments of bliss can catch you by surprise. You might be engaged in a mundane task or sitting quietly when suddenly overwhelmed by immense peace and happiness. This isn't the kind of joy that comes from external rewards or achievements. It feels more intrinsic, as if you're tapping into a deep well of contentment within you. This bliss is often accompanied by feeling connected to something greater than yourself. It's as if, in that moment, you're experiencing a deep truth about life and your place in the universe. These experiences can be deeply moving and transformative, offering a glimpse into being free from worry, stress, or negativity. These experiences can be incredibly rejuvenating. In the aftermath of such bliss, you might feel more energized, optimistic, and at peace with yourself and the world around you. It's a reminder of the potential for joy that resides within us all, waiting to be uncovered. Thing happens during the spiritual awakening process. Spiritual awakening is something you will almost certainly experience this year. Therefore, Edgar Cayce encourages all of us to prepare for this event by understanding what will happen during this process. Stage 1. The dark night of the soul. What's a spiritual awakening? Again, it's a process that involves different stages, including the phase known as the dark night of the soul, where individuals may experience intense inner turmoil, despair, confusion, and a sense of loss of meaning and purpose. Symptoms of spiritual ascension can include questioning one's beliefs, values, and identity, which may lead to a deeper understanding of oneself and their connection to the universe. This transformative process, which includes stages such as the dark night of the soul, can be triggered by significant life events, such as the loss of a loved one, a major life change, or a spiritual crisis. Signs that you may be experiencing the dark night of the soul include feeling lost or disconnected from yourself and others, questioning your beliefs and values, experiencing a sense of purposelessness or nihilism, feeling intense emotional pain, anxiety, or depression, struggling with addiction or destructive behavior, feeling a sense of spiritual emptiness or disconnection. Stage 2. The awakening. The awakening is a stage in spiritual awakening where an individual begins to experience a profound shift in consciousness and awareness. It is a time of self-discovery, where one may feel a sense of connection to something greater than themselves. This stage can be triggered by a spiritual experience, a deepening of one's spiritual practice, or a newfound sense of purpose and direction. As you navigate the awakening stage, you may experience a stronger sense of intuitive guidance that can lead you towards spiritual experiences and a deeper understanding of your purpose. Signs that you may be experiencing the awakening include feeling a sense of inner peace, joy, or bliss, experiencing synchronicities or meaningful coincidences, feeling a connection to nature or a higher power, becoming more compassionate and empathetic toward others, feeling a sense of purpose or calling, having intuitive insights or psychic abilities. Stage 3. The integration. Integration is a stage in spiritual awakening where an individual begins to integrate their new insights and experiences into their everyday life. It is a time of balance and integration where one may feel a sense of inner harmony and coherence. This stage can be triggered by a desire to live a more authentic and purposeful life, or by a need to align one's values and beliefs with their actions and behaviors. Signs that you may be experiencing the integration include feeling a sense of inner balance and harmony, being more mindful and present in your daily life, aligning your actions and behaviors with your values and beliefs, feeling a sense of empowerment and self-confidence, cultivating healthy relationships and connections with others, living a more authentic and purposeful life. Stage 4. The expansion. The expansion is a stage in spiritual awakening where an individual begins to experience a deeper sense of connection to the universe and all living beings. It is a time of transcendence where one may feel a sense of unity, consciousness, and interconnectedness with all things. This stage can be triggered by a deepening of one's spiritual practice, a desire for personal growth and transformation, or a sense of spiritual mission or calling. Signs that you may be experiencing the expansion include experiencing a sense of oneness with the universe, having profound spiritual experiences or insights, feeling a sense of awe and wonder about the mysteries of existence, developing a heightened sense of intuition and psychic abilities, feeling called to serve and make a positive impact on the world. Stage 5. The transcendence. The transcendence is a stage in the spiritual path of awakening where an individual transcends the limitations of the ego and experiences a sense of unity with the divine. It is a time of ultimate transformation, where one may feel a sense of enlightenment or spiritual liberation. This stage can be triggered by a profound spiritual experience, a deepening of one's spiritual practice, or a sense of completion or fulfillment of one's spiritual path. Signs that you may be experiencing the transcendent stage include feeling a sense of oneness with the divine, transcending the limitations of the ego and experiencing a sense of unity consciousness, feeling an expansion of your spiritual life, a sense of enlightenment or spiritual liberation, experiencing a deep sense of inner peace and contentment, letting go of attachment to the material world, feeling complete or fulfilled in your spiritual journey. After reaching the transcendent stage of spiritual awakening, many individuals may wonder what to do next. It's important to remember that spiritual awakening is an ongoing process, and the journey doesn't end with the attainment of enlightenment or spiritual liberation. In fact, the transcendent stage is often just the beginning of a new phase of spiritual growth and development. Some suggestions for what to do after spiritual awakening include continuing to deepen your spiritual practice, serving others, and living a life aligned with your newfound insights and values. Mind-body-spirit connection. Following Edgar Cayce, the mind-body-spirit connection is very important. This perspective recognizes that the health of the body is intimately connected with the health of the mind and spirit, and vice versa. For example, Stress or negative emotions can have physical effects on the body, while physical illness or injury can have a negative impact on mental and emotional well-being. In order to achieve holistic well-being, practitioners of spiritual psychology may work with individuals to address each aspect of the self. This may involve a variety of approaches, such as mindfulness practices to cultivate greater awareness of thoughts and emotions, physical exercise to improve physical health, and spiritual practices such as prayer or meditation to cultivate a sense of connection to a higher power. Through mindfulness practices, you may notice an increase of intense energy as your awareness heightens, and you become more connected to your thoughts and emotions. What's a spiritual awakening? Being spiritually awakened means that an individual has had a profound shift in their understanding of themselves and the world around them. This awakening often comes after a period of feeling disconnected, lost, or unfulfilled in life. Interestingly, some individuals report experiencing physical symptoms, such as a fever, during their spiritual awakening, signifying a kind of intense inner burning away of old beliefs and patterns. Spiritual awakening can happen suddenly or gradually, and it often involves a change in perception, a deepening of self-awareness, and a newfound sense of connection to a higher power, even amidst internal conflict. Spiritual awakening can take many forms and can be experienced in different ways by different people. Some common signs and symptoms of spiritual awakening can include a greater sense of empathy, compassion, and love towards others, an increased ability to live in the present moment, a deeper connection to nature and the universe, a heightened awareness of synchronicities and signs, and a sense of inner peace and contentment. Ultimately, being spiritually awakened means that an individual has come to a new level of understanding and awareness about themselves and the natural world. It's through this ascension process that you realize your potential and find the ability to change your life profoundly. In other words, they've had a spiritual ascension. Now, it's important to understand the difference between awakening and ascension. While spiritual awakening refers to the internal shift in consciousness that an individual experiences, leading to a profound change in their understanding of themselves and the world, ascension, specifically 5D ascension, signifies an evolution beyond the physical reality into a realm of higher spiritual enlightenment and awareness. This spiritual ascension, often referred to as 5D ascension, signifies a shift from the three-dimensional physical reality to a five-dimensional realm of spiritual enlightenment and awareness. It often involves a newfound sense of purpose and direction in life, as well as a deepening of one's spiritual practices and beliefs.